Okay, beautiful. So just in the process of welcoming you all here, and I'm feeling, so first of all, I'm back in Uruguay. I took 89 days. There was an extra day of travel because we missed our flight from, like one of our flights got pushed back and we missed our big flight from Madrid to Uruguay. So we spent like an extra 24 hours in transit. And yeah, I just want to kind of like briefly open up by saying I am feeling like in my body, in my system, in my heart, um, in my visions, in my dreams, my Uruguay background, that I'm feeling in my body, in my system right now, this incredible, powerful movement of energy and inspiration. And it feels like coming back into the space where absolutely everything that we desire is possible and here for us and within reach, and that we just need to step out and reach out and grab it. That we just need to stretch our hand out, that we just need to open up the door, that we just need to speak out into the universe, that we just need to make ourselves visible, that we just need to show up and take that aligned action so that we can position ourselves for the miracle, so that we can be in the place of receiving as we give, of receiving as we create, of receiving as we transform and transmute this reality that we're living in right now into the reality that we most desire and that we were designed to live. So if you're if you're feeling that, and if you're not, it's totally fine. But if you're feeling that, like if you are also feeling this like shift in energy, this opening, this movement, this inspiration, this desire to get into action, just let us know in the comments, because I feel typically whatever I'm feeling, especially right before Zoom, I'm feeling it because the collective is feeling it. And right now, like, woo, I am feeling I'm feeling the power right now. So great, here for it all. So I just want to again just welcome you all. This is the first of 4 Zooms that have been created, that are in the process of being created community, in order to support all of us to come into alignment, to get clear, to have clear written strategies. There's a couple things I'm going to share with you guys today, which are really exciting. I've been in the creation station. It's the new moon, yes, and that, this is really the first of 4 sessions where we're going to come together and bring this energy of devotion, this energy of really like putting ourselves onto the altar of social media, of really creating a sacred space in the ether, in the interwebs, for us to show up feeling safe, feeling supported, feeling protected, feeling clear, with all the strategies, with all the, all the direction, the container to be able to go into the world and move more energy with less effort and zero confusion. So if you're here for that, if you're excited for that, if you feel that, if you're feeling ready or at least willing to step into the realm of social media from a place of devotion, just type devotion in the comments. Because and of course, like if that's not where you're at right now, you're fully welcomed in this space. You are embraced in this space. This space is for you no matter where you're at. And yeah, like we're stepping into devotion in motion. I love it. Yay. Okay, lots of comments coming through. Yeah, so I'm gonna just start us out. So we're gonna have 3 really beautiful shares today. And today's topic is your soul signature. Today's theme, like what we're going to be talking about, is really how to bring our own personal depth of self our own personal medicine, our own personal magic, that part of us that is absolutely unique to us, our own original blueprint, into our social media. Because the title of this 4-week session is Magnetic Social Media Mastery, and magnetism through social media is the new paradigm of business, period. There's nothing that is more like this. This is the foundation through which business is being built now and into the future. It is no longer about chasing what you want. It's no longer about paid advertisement. It's no longer about cold calling, if it was ever about these things. But these are, the old ways of doing business before social media came on the scene were really awkward, clunky, and crazy expensive. And so the world has shifted, and the heart and soul of our audience has shifted as well. That the most powerful currency in our world now, in the business world, is its engagement, its connection, its relationships, its trust, its magnetism. It's attracting the things that we want versus chasing after them and pushing them away. And it's really about, and I want to give you guys this energetic right now, it's about the lean in. It's about creating content and showing up in such a way that people are like, they want to know more. They want to follow along with your journey. They want to see what you're doing. They want more information versus, and if any of you guys have ever seen this on someone's social media, or maybe have had this happen on your social media, maybe, and I can say that, I've gone in and out of these places myself. So there's nothing like, it's all perfect. It's all part of the journey. But what happens when we see somebody who is, bouncing around from one thing to the next, and they show up in their social media one day and they're talking about this thing, and they're like, oh my gosh, I just found this thing and it's so amazing and you should do this with me and it's so freaking cool, and like, oh yeah, and like, you can join me and you can like buy this thing, and they're just like kind of blah, 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 blah about one thing, and then a week later they've turned into an advertisement for a whole different thing, and now they're talking about, oh, and now I found this thing, and this thing is the thing that's so amazing, and it's the best thing ever. And it's just like, you kind of can see that energetic of more of an advertisement. I'm taking myself and attaching it to this product or this thing or this, whatever it is, this offering, and I'm becoming that. And I'm making that the most interesting thing about me and in my life and to me. And how magnetic is that? Do you guys feel magnetized to someone when they're like, hey, I mean, even if they're like, hey, this is my Healy, and like, I just bought a Healy, and Healy, it's so amazing, and the Healy, now it's on sale, and now it's not on sale, and now it's on sale, and right, like, no matter, something you have to work on. And then I've also heard this in the past, which is like, every time I post about Healy, my views go down. I get no engagement. I get nobody like clicks my engagement stickers or whatever, right? Well, we're going to talk about this today, about why this is and how to shift, how to flip the script so that, and actually I'll just bring this in right now, like the foundation of sharing anything on social media, and with the intention and the desire and the vision to both expand our community, expand our impact, and to move money and reciprocity through our system, through our social system, that the foundational piece to be magnetic in this space, it is never, ever, 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 ever about you becoming an advertisement for something else. Never. So if you've noticed that you share about Healy and people don't respond, it could potentially be because there is an element of, this is who I am, and this is something separate from me, but this is what I, that there's like this division, there's a separation between who you are and how you're showing up. Or it could also be that like the only time that you bother to go on your social media is to like post that Healy's on sale. And then it's just not you. And there's nothing wrong with having some content be directing people to the sales or be something that's Healy related. However, the most important thing, the most essential thing, the most magnetic thing is you. It is who you are. It is what you care about. It is what you want to see change in this world. It is why you show up and wake up every morning. It is the injustices that you see. It is the beauty that you see. It is all of the different lenses that add up to you. And so that's really what we're going to be working through in these next 4 weeks foundationally, is bringing that to the surface. It's really, and like any time that you post about your business or about Healy, it's always going to be circling and reconnecting in some way back to your soul signature. That if we just post about something as being separate from us, but that's the most interesting thing to us right now, and it's not leading back and feeding back and connecting in with, this is who I am. This is what I care about. This is why I show up here. This is the world that I want to live in. This is the world that I'm no longer available for. These are the things that light me up. I love to raise my kids in this way. You know, like that, if it's not somehow coherently connecting back into the truth of you, it won't work. It might work a little bit. You might sell a few Heelys. And to really, you know, and part of what we're doing here in this space is really expanding into community, really moving into the space where we have people who we're connecting with who want the same things as us on a deeper level, who have a similar why, who have a similar vision, who have a similar life, who have a similar desire to live their lives in a similar way. And when they merge with us, when they feel that connection with us on these other levels, then when Healy comes up, they're like, oh man, this chick is so cool. And she's doing Healy? Well, if she's doing it, maybe I am interested, right? That's the energy, that you're so visible as who you are, and the people who are praying for you connect so deeply with who you are that when Healy pops up, they say, oh my gosh, I've seen Healy around, I've heard about Healy, and it's never really landed for me. If you're doing it, I'm interested. Okay. I'm going to take a pause here, and I'm going to go into a few logistics. And actually, so go ahead and just share in the comments anything that rang true for you. The replay is going to be sent out to your email. So anything that rang true for you, anything that shifted your perspective, anything that hit a chord for you of what I just shared, go ahead and share your takeaways in the comments right now. And I'm going to walk us through some logistics and show you guys something really fun that we've been working on in the back end. And actually, yeah, so I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to tell you guys how to make sure that we're all connected. Okay, so let me do this little, screen share. Hang on, your comments are not letting me screen share. Okay, hold on, you guys. All right, well, before okay, here we go. Okay, screen share. So I'm going to share with you guys something that is going to be a resource for you during this process. And that is going to be like homework and all kinds of support. So you're seeing it right now. I'm going to scroll back to the beginning. So before I go any further, what I want, actually, Tiffany, if you can type this into the comments, there's 2 places that I want you guys to be connected in with specifically right now. Actually, 3 places. The first is our website welcome page. So some of you guys were asking, how can I get the replay and how So we now have a link that is thefrequencyfamily.com/welcome. And that link will bring you, when you sign up for that link, it will bring you to a resources page. It's thefrequencyfamily.com/resources. Sign up for the welcome so that you get the emails, you get the resources, everything's going to come to you, the replays, it's all going to come to you, and it's all going to be really easy for you to get a hold of. And this that I'm about to show you, or that you can see right now, is going to be on that resources page. This is a PDF social media guide, and we're going to have 1 unit of this guide per week available to you guys so that you can move through it. You can get the notes behind the scenes, you can read everything, you can digest it in a different way, and you can do your homework and you can do your content calendar. So the other piece that I wanted to share with you is that you guys can see right here in the first page, we have a new Instagram. It is at the.frequency.family. And as we're creating content together in this container, please go and follow that account right now and make sure that you tag every story and every post, because we want to repost your content so that it can be an example and a template for our community going forward to say, oh, these are the kinds of posts, and and also like a magnetic tool that we can use as a prospecting tool as well. So those are the 3 kind of like little pieces. Is the welcome page, that's for you to sign up and for you to send to all brand new people in your team. Make sure your whole team is connected in there. The resources page where this PDF is located, and our new Instagram. So here's the important information that you need. This is a weekly call. Here it also says here you can get the welcome in there, and I'm not going to like read all of this to you guys, because you're going to be able to go through and there's different tips, there's best practices to use when posting, and then here's becoming magnetic. So I just wanted to read a couple of these out to you guys about magnetism and what makes you magnetic. And these are just some bullet points here. Sharing your authentic truth, even and especially when it's controversial. Because how many of you guys have some kind of controversy under your belt? You don't believe in everything the status quo tells you? Well, bring that up to the surface. That is your medicine. Creating curiosity, and we're going to go into this a little bit more in the book in a minute, but asking questions, being curious, making people more curious about you than you, like, so you want to be more interested in people and make them interested in you, rather than you just saying, oh, I'm this, that you want to create curiosity. You want to be curious in your audience, about your audience, and you want them to be curious about you. Taking people along for the ride. So rather than giving them all the information at once or waiting until you've had this great experience that you're going to share everything about, starting from the very moment starting from the very beginning of your journey and saying, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it, right? And taking people along for the ride. Sharing vulnerably, really sharing the depth of your process, the places that you feel scared, the places that you feel uncertain, the places that you feel really excited. Like, share all of the contrast of your experience and your emotions so that people can find themselves in your story. They can see themselves in what you're sharing. They can feel their own experiences, their own experiences that they might not even be talking about, but they can feel heard and seen and safe with you. Telling your story. My story is always like the number one thing that has made me money on social media, like, is telling my story. I've been telling my story on social media for almost 10 years. And every time I tell it, money moves through my world. Consistency, and we're going to be hearing more about consistency from some of our shares today. And then lastly, one of my favorites is uplifting and bringing out the best in others. And this is actually like my foundational philosophy of life. It's really become my philosophy of life, especially over the past few months, is like, I want to live in a world where we are all bringing out the best in each other. That's the world that I want to live in. So there's a little bit about becoming magnetic. There's some, and I want you guys to like go ahead, download this book and read through this. But the soul signature is really, again, it's the essential ingredient in creating true magnetism, is showing up as all of you. And these are some of the pieces: being quirky, being sassy, being irreverent, being reverent, being controversial, being hilarious, being creative, like really approaching social media from this space of, how much more can I find out about myself? What else is there that in me that I haven't contacted yet? What can I bring to the table today that I haven't brought to the table yet? What is some aspect or dimension or facet of myself that wants to be seen and heard that I haven't felt confident or creative enough to bring out yet? Right? So really like being in this exploration of, what is my essential soul signature? Who am I? And part of this process of personal transformation that comes along through social media is really diving into this space of like, okay, like I'm going to open up the door, I'm going to open up the box and see what's there so that I can bring it out to the surface. And it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be scary sometimes. And there's going to be moments when you don't want to. And when we approach it from this place of devotion, truly powerful things can emerge. So the next piece is another one of my favorites, and I'm not going to read all these questions out, but this is going to help you guys. This is going to be a framework and a structure for you as you are creating content over the next month, is asking questions. Magic questions are one of the most powerful ingredients of social, of any relationship, of any conversation, of any connection, either on or off social media, but really diving into these questions, both for yourself. These are designed to help pull some of that essential soul signature out. But what I love the most, what world do I want to live in? What am I ready to release? What am I ready to receive? Like these kinds of questions, asking them to yourself so that you can draw out the content and answer these questions in your social media. And then either as important or more importantly, to create space so that whenever you're in conversation, like if you're posting stories, if you're in the DMs with somebody, to always leave the conversation in a question. Always end whatever it is that you're sharing with a question. Either if it's a story, ask a question. If it's a post, at the end of the post, ask a question. If you're in a DM, ask a question. Questions are one of the most powerful ways that we move energy. And they also create curiosity and satisfy curiosity. So I'm going to just pause there. The last pieces here are your mission statement, which is your bio. So you can see there's some homework for you guys to do here. Ask your community, like, how do they see you? Create your bio. And then the last piece in the PDF for this week is this content calendar. 28 days of content. So again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but this is designed to support you guys with a framework so that you don't have to sit there and think, what am I going to share today? Like, oh my gosh, because a confused mind is usually a paralyzed mind. So we have this very like gentle kind of rotation of topics here. Every day, every Thursday, you're going to be invited to share a takeaway from the Zoom on your stories. And like, don't just share a picture of the Zoom, like actually say, I just learned something. Like talk to the camera and say, I just learned something today that blew my mind. Like, wow, like I'm seeing something from a whole new perspective. Wow, I'm so grateful that I joined this container. You really want to use these Zooms as a way to spark curiosity in your audience about what we're doing, and also to provide value to them, so that they start to see you as someone who knows something about something that they're interested in. So every Thursday, we're going to always do takeaways. And then you're going to see things like introduce yourself, share a story out in a beautiful spot, in nature, collaborate on a reel with someone from the community, do something funny or silly. And then there's also rest days. And the rest days are the days that you're going to focus more on follow-ups. You can still post a story or two if you want, but those are the days that we're going to focus more on following up and being in conversations. So I'm back. I couldn't see any chat or any of you during that time. But I'm curious, I just want to get some some takeaways about, like, are you guys excited to dive into this little workbook that we've created for you and like do some work over the week to create, here I am, to create, like, to, you know, like the bio, the niche, like that, like how, like those words that are at the top of your page, those are often, like, a lot of people who teach about social media say start with the bio. For me, it's like the bio becomes an extension of your mission. So the more that you're showing up consistently, the more that you're curious about who you really are, and you're like bringing that to the surface, and you're like, okay, like, whoo, like this is a new, you know, like this is a new facet for me. Like, I'm going to just put it out there. I'm just going to play, like, just see this next month as a time for you to be in a community of people. There's like close to 200 people, 211 people on the Zoom right now. And yeah, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's okay. I just want you guys to take a moment here, and we're gonna shift energy in a second. And I just want you to take a moment and just scroll through all these faces that are on the Zoom right now and look at these incredible people. Almost everyone, including myself on this Zoom, is probably feeling overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, like, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to start practicing what I preach. I've been on a social media break for a while where I've just kind of been doing, you know, behind the scenes stuff. And so here I am, like, I'm gonna show up again in a different way and really join you guys, and that we're here together. This is one of the most powerful things about being in community and in a business community, is that we're here together. We're all here. You can see all 211 people and all the people that didn't make it to the Zoom, but are going to be doing this alongside us. Like, we're a community. We're here to support and uplift each other. We're here to really create that safety in numbers, to create that unity, to create that loving connection, so that we can co-regulate and do hard things and lean into the places that feel challenging and scaring and overwhelming. So if you feel overwhelming, yeah, don't play into the overwhelm monster. Breathe, just, you know, just embrace this moment and allow yourself to be curious, to be in that space of what's possible here. And even if you just do a tiny bit more than you ever have before, like, there's no bar that you have to hit in this. There's no like, oh, you have to do this, or you have to do this, and if you don't do it, you did it, right? This is an inner exploration of our relationship with ourselves first and foremost, and really playing with that relationship and revealing, like, just, you know, like a rose is blossoming petal by petal by petal. And I guarantee that if you move collectively through this process with us, by the end of this 28 days, you will have had some exquisite realizations about yourself first and foremost. And those realizations will transform into magnetism and movement of energy and money through your social media in a new way. So, thanks, everybody. And we're going to now switch gears. Actually, let me just see if there was anything else that I wanted to. I think those are all the logistics that I'm going to bring in for right now. And so now we're going to actually hear from an incredible woman, one of our beautiful community members. You may have seen her on her social media wearing a mermaid tail or singing songs about Healy sales. And if you didn't catch her, if you didn't catch that before, you're going to have to go check out her social media, which is at Alchemy of Song. So Leah is a beautiful, budding Healy leader in this space. She's someone who's just like all of us, leaning in and finding her footing and, you know, moving energy and growing and building in her world, in her business, in her life. And she's going to share, and Leah, thank you so much. She's going to share a little bit about her process with, you know, with that edge of magnetism in her Instagram. And then she's also going to drop us into oh yeah, and you're getting lots of love in the comments earlier, but she's also going to drop us into a a practice and an exercise. And this will be in our course. This will be in our social media course, this little drop in to find your true note, before you get out there and start to post, that you can center in and ground in and really contact yourself in a different way to bring through your soul signature. So Miss Leah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. I feel so honored to be here right now. And hi, everyone in the comments. Goodness, I would love to start this out by asking you all a question of how many of you, just type me if so, how many of you feel fear around showing up authentically online? Yeah, oh my goodness. Yes, it is so real. It's so real. And I just want to say, me too. I had genuinely coming into healing, one of my biggest blocks was that I was really afraid to go on social media, if you can believe that or not. And what I realized is that I had this fork in the road where I realized that the only thing that was actually stopping me from creating the life that I wanted was putting myself out there. And I decided through the help of Carly and Mandolin that I was ready to go all in. And honestly, I didn't really know like who I was really at the time. I was still kind of figuring it out. And it was a process of at first looking at other people and seeing what they were doing and trying to like emulate it. And then eventually I just realized, wait, I need to do it my own way. And what really honestly started to inspire that was that I did the social media challenges. Like when I joined, it was right at the beginning of the 88 days, and we were starting up these new social media challenges that literally pushed all of my edges of consistency. So I'm also curious in the chat, does anyone here struggle with consistency? I My biggest struggle in my life from the beginning of my life has been finding a way to stay consistent. And what I realize is that consistency goes hand in hand with commitment and this aspect of devotion and really wanting to show up for the things that we love. And so as all these like edges were starting to be really pushed, I showed up every single day, even when I felt so cringe, or when I look back at my first shares, they were so cringe, but I kept going. I kept it up. I wanted to delete so many, but I was like, you know what? I pushed through my edge. I kept it up, and at first, it kind of felt like I was screaming from the top of a mountain, and maybe no one was hearing me. I was just like, here I am, and people were like, okay. But what happens, and this is really like the power of consistency, is that you start to realize that even if people aren't interacting on your posts, they are watching. They are watching. They want to know how much less cringy your shares get after using your Healy and after like being a part of this community and everything, like they want to see that growth. And so if you're afraid to go online because you're afraid of being cringe, I just want to say like, let your cringe be your guiding force, let it be your learning tool of seeing what is working, what isn't, what feels good, what felt weird about it. And just, I feel like I really use these social media challenges as a way to play and really find out who I wanted to be through social media. And what ended up happening is I started finding myself, and in the most unlikely place, because I've had so much resistance to social media for a long time because I've been like, oh, it's fake, it's all these things. But I realized that it's you, right? Like it's a platform, it's an alchemical tool for stepping into your truth. Social media is an alchemical tool for stepping into your truth. It's like the stories for me were, getting my feet in the water and saying like, okay, I'm putting myself out there. And then it grows. And then it became, making reels and all these things. And ultimately, because we have this amazing device of the Healy and we have this amazing ability to, come into our truth, come into our alignment. I mean, I was running the confidence program almost every single day at that time, and it was helping me so much, but I really needed it. And I found through this my true tone. And I realized that, before I was in this community and joining Healy, like I was so afraid of showing the silly side of myself, which if you are on my social media now, like I love being super silly and goofy and weird. And that's what's fun for me. And I thought that I had to be something else because I was comparing. And the thing about social media is it's a way to share your voice, and your voice is your beacon. Like when you express your truth and you express your authenticity, you are drawing in people who are on the same frequency as you. And if we take this time like hiding and holding back and continuing to not share our voice, we're only hurting not only ourselves, but all of humanity and all of the people who are waiting for what you have to share and what you are and who they can be even with you. And in the process, I love how you mentioned talking about controversial topics because let's be real. The world is a little crazy right now. And each of you, I know that all of us, we have a really unique perspective in this time. And your voice needs to be heard now more than ever. It is so crucial that we use this. And using social media is an incredible tool. You can reach so many people that way. And it really brings people into our field. So since I've been doing the challenges and really staying consistent and staying committed, I have just noticed the most incredible growth in my personal life and within my business. And I'm starting to be known. It was so crazy going to the retreat, people coming up to me, singing my songs. I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And just to show that it's all so real. So people are watching. Don't stop sharing. Even if it feels like you're screaming out into the void, like you are creating so much alchemy just by being you and sharing your truth. And so there's a practice that I love to do before I go on my stories, and it's a way to find your true tone. And I actually did that before I was coming on today. And what does that mean, like when we're talking about the true tone? Your true tone is there's a note in the center of your body and of your vocal register that is your authentic frequency, your authentic tone. And if we can come into this daily and really come into sounding out our authentic tone through our voice, because our voice is an alchemical tool in and of itself of frequency. It's the original frequency device is our voice. And so if we can tap into like first our authentic frequency before we even move into our shares, it can create this huge magnetism. So I'm going to share that with you all right now. And then right after that, I'm going to share a very short transmission through the voice. And we're going to just really use that to land into our frequency and just drop into your body. So if everyone wants to just sit up straight, what we're going to do is we're going to all breathe in together. And then we're going to, as you exhale, we're going to exhale out a sigh. And then eventually you're going to find that there's going to be a note that you land on very naturally in your body. It's going to be different for everybody. I'll actually probably stay quiet just so you can really find your true tone. But we're going to take a deep breath in and then land in that frequency. And then I'm going to watch you all. And once I feel you all are finished, I'm going to go ahead into the transmission. So whenever you all are ready, let's empty out the air in our bodies. Inhaling to tone. landing into your body, landing into your frequency, and holding that so dearly, because that is what makes you you, and that is what the world needs. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm crying. Is anybody else crying? Um, Thank you, Leah. And that transmission is the transmission, it's a request. Like, you're here because you've been asked, you've been requested to be here. You are being requested to share. And imagine, like, Leah, so I just want to kind of like go through like what happened, like how we all just received this transmission that we all needed right now is because Leah she bought a Healy, she started showing up to the Zooms, she started we did these 11-day challenges, which we will do. Spoiler alert, there's gonna be an 11-day challenge later on in the process. We're just getting warmed up here. And, she leaned in, and then she did a song about a Healy, and someone sent it to me, or somehow I got it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, who's this amazing woman, and then like I started to get to know her better, and and then her social media started blooming, and then I did this Zoom, and I was like, who do I want? Leah, right? Like, and so now every single one of you have gotten to receive this medicine because of Leah making a decision however many months ago, or even like a year ago, to like start like coming a little bit more visible and to lean in and to be consistent. And so it's a very non-linear process. Like, this is what she's talking about, streaming from the mountaintop. It's not this linear thing where you're like, I'm going to do a 30-day Reels challenge, and by the end of that Reels challenge, I'm going to have 1 million followers because all my Reels are going to go viral. Like, it's not linear. Social media is not linear. Business is not linear. Life, believe it or not, is not linear. And it is the vision that you hold. It is the decision that you make. It is the conviction that you have in your heart. It is the devotion that you walk with that allows the spiral to happen for you to keep coming around and around and around to the place where you're refining and refining and refining until, boom, all of a sudden you look back and you're like, man, like, I'm living that life that I was dreaming about 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 6 months ago. And how did that even happen? Well, you guys just saw a full representation. You listened to a whole story about how it happens. And I can guarantee that Leah is going to be, Alchemy of Song is her Instagram, at Alchemy of Song, that Leah is going to be someone to watch in this space, not because she has any skill set that's like better than anybody else's, or any, like whatever business knowledge or anything, simply because she is devoted enough to stay courageous, to be visible, to be consistent, and to show up with her true note and her soul signature. So, Alchemy of Song. Thank you, darling. Amazing. I just like instantly started like waterfall. I'm like, whoa, like the angels are talking to me. Like, they're telling me, like, keep going. Keep going. So I wanted to bring in, so the 11-day challenge. Yes, we're going to be doing that. And the other thing that I wanted to bring in, and one other quick logistical piece that I skipped over in the workbook when I was showing it to you guys, is that we have a Telegram thread as a community called the Frequency Family Hub, and it's got a number of different categories in there. And one of the categories, one of the topics in that thread, it's like organized, is social media shares. So that thread is going to be a place for all of us to come together, to get support, to share our content, like blow that thread up out of the water, get in there, like, like ask, share, like, let's create, you can screenshot your posts, you can put the links in. Screenshots are really nice because then, you can visibly see it, and also a link, whatever, like, but claim that space as your own, and let's use that space together to build the energy collectively and to support each other. One other quick piece about that thread is that if you get overwhelmed by notifications, don't leave the Frequency Family Hub. You can individually mute threads in that whole, like you can just mute out one category or two categories or whatever you want, so that if you're getting too many notifications, you can mute a single thread, and then you can go back in there when you feel like it. So I just want to make sure that nobody's like, oh my God, like there's like 1 trillion notifications a day. I can't deal with this on the phone, right? You can, just, you have that thread is called, yeah, I already know. It's called the Frequency Family Hub. And if someone wants to drop that Telegram link in here, and also you guys, thefrequencyfamily.com/welcome, when you sign up on that webpage, you get an email that gives you the link to the resources page, which is thefrequencyfamily.com/resources. That resource page has the Telegram thread, it has the boards, it has all the things. So it's a really easy, like plug and play thing for you to get all the important information to your people when they first sign up, and for yourself. Everything about the social media thing is in there. It's all there. So if anyone wants to drop those 2 links, the Telegram thread and the welcome page link, into the chat, that would be so appreciated. Who would love to do that? So thank you, Leah. We are getting so many beautiful comments, continuously getting comments about your, just your medicine. Like, this is the gift. This is, we all have different medicine. Nobody's going to sing the way that Leah does. No one's going to talk about social media the way that I do, you guys. But what you bring to the table, no one else is going to do either. Nobody else has your soul signature. Okay, so these Zooms are going to go over an hour. They'll probably be around an hour. And today's was a little bit longer because of all the logistics, but we've got 2 more shares. We're going to hear from beautiful Mandolin, and then Fernanda is going to close us out with her deep juju. So definitely stay on to hear from Fernanda. You don't want to give yourself that extra buffer of the timing, but before Fernanda, we're going to just go ahead and bring Mandolin to the mic here for a little drop in around her. So Mandolin is another incredible soulful woman. She leads rites of passages work. She's another one who was like, oh yeah, like I'm not into like social media, like I'm not like an influencer. I'm not into, and yet she has also been able to really embrace the tool and the power of this modality, really, to be able to draw out our magic and draw out our medicine and gift that to the collective. So Mandolin, come on up to the mic and give us just, like a brief little window into your world and some of your goals.
Hi, everyone. I am really still just on the verge of tears from what Leah shared. And Leah joined Healy in January, and yeah, just like seeing the transformation that happened just from her getting a Healy and choosing to devote to herself. I feel like a proud sister mom moment right now. And I just want to share also that 1 year ago from today, Leah and I were sitting on the beach before Healy, and we were like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, we don't know how to utilize social media at all. We're here in our soul gifts, and we were just sharing. We even like wrote this whole song about how we were speaking into the void, and we felt like no one was hearing us. And my background is rite of passage work, permaculture work, regeneration. My 3 pillars are like 3 R's: regeneration, rewilding, and rite of passage work. And as a solo entrepreneur before Healy, I was putting so much time and energy into the content I was creating, into the slides of what I'm offering. And it was just literal crickets. I mean, I had some bites here and there, enough to like sustain myself, but I was like, what am I doing wrong? I don't understand. Like, my heart is here, my soul's here, I'm initiated into this work, and I can't reach anyone. I just felt like I was trying so hard and I couldn't get anywhere. And honestly, what shifted so much for me, and to have now like a thriving Healy business and my rite of passage work and my retreats thriving, was from showing up for the 88-day social media training. Seriously, Sarah, like everything that you gave us in that space, I finally was able to see how I just need to show up as myself. I didn't need to put myself on this pedestal of this person who knew these things and like wanted to like sell you the things that I knew. I All I had to do was to really open my heart and to let people hear my story, to let people hear my vision and my why, and to invite them in to join me. And that was literally it. And when Sarah first shared the social media challenge, I was like, so terrifying, because I'm like, I don't want to hustle and grind. I don't want to do that every day. And I decided to show up for myself, for the greater vision that I was holding, and to lean in, even though I felt full cortisol rushing through my body when I shared with my community that, hey guys, I was actually a starving artist this whole time I've been sharing on social media. I actually have been like sharing my authentic gifts and medicine with the world and getting by going in debt. Like that has been my reality. And I also have found this tool that is a bridge to see how I can authentically live in my soul essence and be financially nourished and resourced. And meeting people at those points where they get to hear themselves in your story. And they say, wow, I felt like I was the only one that was experiencing that. And you get to build that relationship in that space of being vulnerable, like really opening up about the nitty gritty, the parts that you think you're alone in experiencing. Like those are usually the parts that people really deeply relate to. And they're like, finally, someone's speaking my message. And like, what are you doing about it? You know, how did you figure out how to get out of that situation? Something that I share a lot with my community that was really cringy at first was that I was a permaculture director for an ashram. And I was living this life. I had my tiny house. I was growing my own food, and I was making $300 a month. And that's what I lived off of. And I shared that with my community, and I was like, oh my God. Like I shared like a month ago or 2 months ago. And I was like, I shaved my head and I was like, yeah, this is like the glorious lifestyle that I posted before, but this was like actually what was going on behind the scenes. And everyone's like, I'm like really relating to that, because they're like, me too. I've been work trading and I don't know how to get out of my situation. So whatever it is, whether, you have that specific story, just really sharing vulnerably and letting people into the nooks and crannies of who you are, because that is what builds trust. And when people trust you, there's a safe place for them to cross the threshold. There's a safe place for them to move into this next journey with you. And I know a lot of people have reached out to me in the community and have said like, wow, I actually feel like safe doing this with you. And I know that we all have that potential to really create that safety for people by being vulnerable and by hearing them be like, I get it, I understand, me too. And like, here's my hand to support you in crossing the threshold. So I want to share 3 golden nuggets before I end my share. But the first one is, you don't need to share from a place of having made it or having figured it out. The best place to start, which was the best advice that I got when I first joined Healy, is to share right where you are. To say, hey, I just got this device. I'm joining this community, and this is super new to me and super vulnerable, but I'm going to share it anyways. Like that is such a great place to start. And honestly, there's so much potential and fire there that now, being months in, I'm like, oh, I want to connect back to that fresh energy of this is what I'm joining into. This is exciting. This is the vision that I'm holding with this new move that I'm making. The second one is to share your vision. To share people what you're envisioning for yourself and offering them an invitation to join you together. With Leah, I never went to Leah and said, like, if you get a Healy, you can do this and like all these things. I was like, hey, I see this as an opportunity for us. Do you want to do this together? And that's what we've done. It was never that I was selling anything to Leah or, you know, anyone that has joined me in this. It's really just that I wanted to do this with her, and being anchored in that guides the way. And it's just natural, it's organic. You don't need to force anything. You just need to drop into that soul connection together. And then the third part, the third golden nugget, is to just really let people see your vulnerable parts. I ran the Healy for the aura analysis, and it said this person is terrified of being seen as someone who's successful. And I shared that with my community. It's scary for me to share with you that I'm making money now, because my identity was wrapped up in being the good servant that didn't get paid. And so sharing that with people, letting them in, and just like really building that trust with your community consistently, and just always showing up in your true soul essence. So yeah, thank you for listening. Thanks for inviting me to share on this call, and thank you.
That was so beautiful, Mandolin. So powerful. And yes, like that what you just shared, the what you ended with this piece of like showing your vulnerable, like showing that vulnerability, sharing that story. That's, I mean, I recently last year, for the first time on social media, shared a story about being on welfare, you know, with like in the line with my infant and my 3-year-old, and how that felt for me and what that experience was like for me. And that those are the moments when, of like the deepest, darkest, hopeless moments, when we plant those seeds that are like never again. This is the most fertile grounds, when we share those pieces that are, maybe even we have like shame, like personally we feel shame, but someone else is going to be like, wow, you know. So it is a whole, there is so much around deconstructing what we've been taught is good, is okay, is influential. Like you said, like, oh, everyone's like, become the expert, you know, like stand up there and act like an expert and people will buy your stuff. I mean, personally, I just think that's bullshit. Like, that's not the way that I approach social media. And I never have, and I never will. Like, my approach to social media has always been make somebody feel something. Like, share how I feel, and that will automatically reverberate in the system of somebody else who's meant to have that, like who has that seed of that same feeling. And when we feel together, we can heal together, right? Like, when I feel it all, I can have it all. When I feel it all, I can heal it all. When I feel it all, I can express it all. And that's what we need. We don't need a whole like 100 million more robots on social media, like, you know, doing the thing that whatever like influencer told them is going to make them money, and all just being like, do this. And like unlearning and deconstructing everything that has kept us in a box and kept us in that fear of not fitting in. So we silence ourselves and try to, right? And really, like, the whole point of life is to not fit in. The whole point of social media is like, it is like, that's it. Be yourself. I mean, it's so like, it sounds so flippant, and it's the most solid truth of life. That is the purpose. So we get to practice and play with that on social media. So thank you, Mandolin. You're amazing. If anyone had takeaways from Mandolin, like, share whatever landed for you, what lit you up, what shifted your perspective, something that you might even want to bring into your talk to the camera after the Zoom is over. And as promised, I'm going to bring to the mic now, and actually, Tiffany, you're probably going to have to make Fernanda co-host so she can unmute herself. But this woman right here, Fernanda, my sister, not my blood sister, but my soul sister, this woman right here has inspired me, taught me so much. She's been there with me through thick and thin. She has, we've moved through all the waves of all the years, of all the intensity, the goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs. And she is a wisdom keeper. She is someone who holds deep, deep codes of archetypes and storytelling and indigenous wisdom. And she has, her soul signature is potent. And we also want to see her show up a little bit more consistently on social media. So we're going to be on that. We're going to be, we're going to be accountability buddies here because we all want more. We want to hear you and see you more. We want to hear and see all of you more. So Fernanda, my darling, come on and share your whatever it is that you're going to share. I don't even know. I just know it's going to be amazing. I didn't give her much of a framework to share.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And I love that. I love what you just said. Yes, more consistency. I was actually thinking about how I can be more consistent because I like to put soul into things. And when I put soul into things, it takes more time. I have to cook it a little. And so I'm like, maybe I'm just going to start like posting a picture with some audio, like just to make it easy. And like, maybe I'll ask ChatGPT what to say just to like do something to keep it rolling. Cause I know that momentum is important. I'm not actually going to do that, but I do think that there is ways to navigate this like cultivation of discipline. I'm not going to talk about that right now at all. I don't think I'm the person to talk about that right now. I have something else to say. And I've been thinking about this since Sarah was like, hey, do you want to share on Thursday? And she told me on what? And I was like, yes, let me go into the sauna as I like to do, sit and receive. And it's funny, I'm over here reading a comment that was just left, and it has everything to do with what I'm about to share. I'm going to try to make it concise. But let me read the comment. The comment says, it's from Lena, and she says, when I share on social media, I feel disconnected. What I share sometimes feels like an extension of my current disconnected state. And on the contrary, when I do feel connected, I feel no need or wish whatsoever to engage in social media. It's always just been a distraction for me, even if the content has been carrying the content carries wisdom. So I'm just going to leave that question there hanging over our heads. And I'm going to ask everybody in here, I'm not really looking at the chat, but I will. What and where, no, not what, where do you find soul? Just want to know if we're all on the same page. Like, there's one word that I'm looking for. Where do you find soul? Where do you go to find soul? Okay, I'm seeing nature, within, inside, within. Yes. Okay. You know where soul is. Soul is inside. It's inside. Okay, good. We're on the same page. So when we talk about soul signatures, the idea of a signature just in and of itself is putting pen to paper, right? A brush stroke, something that leaves a permanence. And when we talk about our own soul signature, this means that we are creating something from a place of soul lands that can be felt, seen, that is tangible for the outside world or for ourselves. So, when you make a reel or when you write a poem or when you have anything to say and you tap into soul lands and it creates that brush stroke in the world that is seen and felt, you are leaving your soul signature. And yes, we can say things, we can just like say anything, right? But the idea of creating from soul is that you have to go deep into the depths of you and its murky waters and extract that, pull it up. That's why I love mermaid symbolism so much, because mermaids bring soul up to spirit. They do. They bring soul up to spirit. I'm just going to be adding people in because I'm a co-host now. But, they bring spirit, a soul up to spirit. And I love this one thing that Michael Mead, if you know who he is, he has said that the goal of soul is to get spirit laid. What that means is that soul is trying to bring spirit down, right? We're trying to lift soul up. These are two separate polarities that play. And when we're open to both of them, we become channels. We truly become channels where our inner depths, our beauty, our expression, our magic gets to come out into the world and go up to spirit realms, to the heights, to the world. And there's a reason why that matters. Okay, so who knows, again, another question, who knows in the chat, who was the first recorded initiation in the world, in history? Do you know who walked that initiation? Please tell me you do. The first recorded initiation ever, the first one to ever walk through a rite of passage that is recorded in the history books. Okay, no one is answering this. Come on, you guys. Inanna. No, I love that you say Jesus. The story of Jesus, of that cycle of death and rebirth, that 3-day resurrection story was templated by Inanna. In Sumerian mythology, she was the first to go down into the depths. She heard a call from the great below, stood at the gates and said, "What do I do?" And they said, "You have to pass these 7 gates, the 7 chakras. You have to pass the 7 gates and walk down into the underworld." And her sister, Ereshkigal, was down there. She was the one that was wailing from the bottom. She heard a call. She followed. She had to disrobe herself. There's a quote. I wrote it down because I love it. It is, where did I write it down? Well, I don't even know. Oh, okay. Carl Jung said this. He says, "Disrobe me that my inner beauty may be revealed." Carl Jung said that. What he was saying and what he's talking to is that same path that Inanna walked. She had to literally take off at each one of the gates a piece of her regalia, a piece of her that tied her to being the queen of heaven. She had to leave behind everything that she was. This is the original rewilding story. She had to leave back her titles, her nobility, her lover, all of it, and go all the way down into the depths where she was hung on a hook for 3 days and then ascended, right? So this story, this templated first initiation story, is the path that we all walk. This is the cyclical wisdom of, like divine feminine wisdom that we all hear about all the time, the death and rebirth cycle, the death and rebirth cycle. If you know that all we got to do is get through winter because, the baby calves will be born soon, you're good. Like, we just trust in the cyclical nature. And we can do that for ourselves too. And why is walking an initiation so important? Because we want to get all the way down to know our soul lands. And the more initiations that we can walk through in life, the more we are able to give and receive. Okay, so, and when I use that word intentionally, because there are different kinds of initiations, right? We've lost rites of passage in our culture. We really have, and we're not experiencing them again. So when we come into community like we do here, we have an opportunity. We're being given an opportunity to initiate. Most people are not given initiations. Most people these days are walking forced initiations because something tragic happens in their life, because something dies and they have to walk through that portal. And that is not the way that it should be for us as humans. We should be walking each other home. We should be stepping into our power. We should be stepping into our voice, into greater responsibility. And the reason why we want to be doing this with each other is not because we're here for the self-improvement. No, we're not here to like make ourselves be better and the transformation and the expansion of ourselves. We're here because we matter in the collective. Because that's what initiation is. It's becoming part of a whole. The community can only thrive if you thrive. If you are being walked, if you are walking yourself from one portal after the other, you are coming home to yourself. And the more people that come home to themselves, the greater our collective is. So I was just listening to a book with my children. If you're a mother or if you just like whales, orca whales, you should get the book, A Whale of the Wild. It's so good. I'm like, it kind of finished and the kids and I are like, is there a book too? Like, what do we do now that we don't have a whale of the wild? It's this beautiful book about, it's narrated from a young orca whale, and she's the wayfinder or soon to be wayfinder of her family. And, you know, I'm not going to say much about this book again, in case you guys want to go read it, but, you know, we are wayfinding here. We're all wayfinding. By that, we're navigating. We're trying to figure out how to move in this world. And as we do that, we find ourselves in situations that are like, really, how did I get myself here? Like, why do I have to walk through this right now? What to learn? And that process of you walking yourself home, of wayfinding, is medicine for the world only if you share it. Only if you share it. So it's one thing to allow yourself to, you know, it's not that we want others to see us. It's that we want to take ourselves and put ourselves in a place where we're visible enough that our processes can be felt and experienced by other people who are going through the same thing, that are maybe back there behind us being like, oh, I still have a ways to go, but I see her and she gives me inspiration. You know, I will share, I love that everybody was here talking about, like that Sarah mentioned this too, about, and Mandolin, about sharing where you're at. When I first started my Healy journey, it was really uncomfortable. I remember standing in my kitchen and being like, okay, hi, everybody. And into my IG, I was like, I'm on food stamps right now. It's a little embarrassing to say. And I just got divorced, but this is where I'm at. And the reason why I'm telling you is because I'm going to do this new thing. I'm just going to give it a shot. And I'm really hopeful that in a couple of months, my life will have radically changed. And lo and behold, my entire world has radically changed. And I have that story to tell. Now, I was at ground zero. Some of you are not at ground zero. That doesn't matter. It doesn't take anything away from being true and authentic and sharing your experience. Remember, we're like, when people say we're walking ourselves home, like we really are walking each other home. We really are all constantly going through walking the path of Inanna. We're all walking that path of, what is it right now that's holding me back? And learning to descend, leaving all of those things behind, all our blocks, to where we get to, I heard Sarah say these words, fertile ground. And when we are at a place of fertile ground, this is where soul lives, right? This is where soul lives. And when we can tap our soul, there's a gleaming stone down there. And I like this analogy, this metaphor of picking up that stone and knowing you're retrieving a soul bit every time you go down there. I teach this work, right? I'm a rite of passage mentor, and my teacher training came through Sarah Durham Wilson, Made into Mother guide. And we used to joke around. I say this all the time. We used to joke around about how we are underworld junkies, like, because we know what it's like to be in the dark. And we know that if you give it a little bit of time, and if you rest down there, and if you do whatever you need to do, you're just going to come right back up better and stronger. I grow through this. Sarah has seen me. I'm like, sorry, Sarah, I'm like out a little bit right now. Something's draining my energy. I'll come back strong though. Just you wait and see, you know, and I always do, because we understand that this is our cyclical nature. But I guess what I'm trying to really get here is that we want to be in a beautiful, really, really bonded relationship with our soul. We want to get quiet enough that we can hear the call from the great below and know how to descend each time. It doesn't have to be like a whole underworld journey every time. No, not at all. Like, I'm not trying to say that. It can be as simple as literally, like, for me, it's I go into the sauna. I like to be in the watery space. I really do. I like to just lay there and go inward. And I realize I probably really like it because I can't see anything in there. It's so sauna-y, you know, it's like steamy. I can't see anything and I can only go inward. And it feels like a womb space. To me, the soul is a womb space. And the womb to me is the original matrix. It's mother. So if we can plug back in to source in that way, and tap into our soul, we're not going up here. We're not seeking to ascend. We're seeking to descend to ascend. And so learning how to do that is a craft, and it's something that comes with practice. And, I think that comment that I read at the beginning from Lena, when we feel inspired, we might want to turn away from social media, right? We might want to go be with our families, be in nature, do all those things. Like, I know that happens to me often. But it's also, if you see it as these initiations that you walk through aren't just happening so that you can like live a better life and be who, self-improvement, like I had said, they're happening to you so that you can contribute your grain of wisdom to the collective. Because after all, we are a mycelial network, a flower field. We are moving in conjunction. We are moving together. We really are. We're an organism. So when we think about it like that, we're like an orcapod. We're like, let's share the catch for the day. Like, let's share ourselves with the world. I don't want to use the word responsibility because I don't want to impose anything on anybody. But if you care at all about the world and about humanity, share yourself with the world. Because I think one of the really big things to do in this work is to allow yourself to be visible by knowing that what you have to say matters. And some people don't feel that what they have to say matters. And that's a whole other class. It's a whole other thing. But, what I really want to get across here, and I know I'm just going to wrap it up, is that we're all walking constant initiation. And you have an opportunity here in this community to receive the initiation that's being gifted to you. And you're not forced into a soul initiation. You're not being forced into it. There's no hardship that is tied to this initiation. It's just a gift. My greatest soul initiation was walking through divorce and walking through having to leave my children 3 to 4 days a week. That was hard as hell. We will experience I have yet to experience the death of a loved one. I can only imagine at this moment in time, but there are initiations that forge us. And those are the ones that we're like, oh man, okay, I have to go through this right now. You are pushed through a door without your necessary and like vote of desire, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say. But here with Healy, with this opportunity, you have the ability to step into your voice, to step into your power, to step into a responsibility to share yourself with the world, all of it. It's a gift. So I just want to invite you all to see it that way. And I say that also to myself because I do realize like I am a carrier of information and of wisdom and of love and of codes. And I want to be sharing that more with the world. I write that in my journal all the time, so we are the only ones stopping ourselves. No one else. Right? Okay. That's all I'll say for now.
Oh, thank you so much, Fernanda. That was incredible. There was more than a few people were saying, Fernanda, like, get your voice on social media. Like, I want to hear from you more. Like, geez, and so that was absolutely like brought all the things, the mythology, the current world. And I love that what you shared about, that this is a gift. There's nobody like that content calendar. I don't know if I can like really like calendar and a schedule. You don't have to do any of it, right? There's nobody here that's going to ever tell you need to do this or you're out or you're like, you don't have a boss in this world. You are self-led, and there is a beautiful space of this rite of passage, and Fernanda's spoken about this in the past in terms of even just like with the ranks and like moving through the pay plan. It's a rite of passage. It's a series of initiations, and people, it's so powerful in this space specifically because there are people who have gone before you who are turning around and saying, take my hand, I know the way. Right. And so this is simply us offering and saying, take our hand, we know the way. And if you know another way, like, go for it. And if you're not ready to come down the path right now, that's okay. And it will always be here, and we will always be here, and we will always be extending our hand and creating more pathways for more people to be able to experience and express more of ourselves because it matters. It really, truly matters. You matter. And wherever you're at right now, every single person, for myself, all the like huge influencers, everybody started from a seed. And if you're a seed right now, what kind of beautiful tree are you going to grow into? What kind of beautiful flower are you going to grow into? And if you're already a flower and you're creating seeds, that's the cycle that we're part of. Planting seeds, growing gardens, harvesting, replanting, reinvesting, giving of ourselves so that we may receive. And yeah, that was so beautiful, Fernanda. So if anyone wants to, I saw some takeaways. This is a great time to share any other takeaways from Fernanda's share. That's, you know, it's a beautiful way to give to her, to our speakers. When you share, you're contributing, you're giving back. And yeah, so I'm going to just close us up here with a couple quick reminders. We will be meeting again this coming Thursday, and this coming Thursday, we're going to talk about specific ways to create magnetic content. Like, we're going to give you like some really clear instructions, like here's how you make a reel that works, you know, like we're going to get into some more of the nitty gritty. Of course, there's still going to be this overarching theme of like sharing your soul signature and how to do this from a place of authenticity. So we'll see you on Thursday. If you haven't already, please put your email, like fill out the form, the welcome form, thefrequencyfamily.com welcome. And that will, like, if you haven't already done that, do that now, and you'll receive a replay and the resources library and the PDF. It's all going to come to you. If you already signed up on that, then you're automatically going to get that after this Zoom. If you don't get anything, it might be because you put your email in wrong, in which case email hello@thefrequencyfamily.com and let us know, and we can get back to you and help you get in there. And today's prompt is to share some kind of takeaway, and you don't have to say, I was just on this Healy Zoom and like, blah, 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 blah. You know, like you can take something and say, have you ever considered initiation in your life? I just heard this thing that made me like totally rearrange the way that I see life. And I'm now experiencing it from a different place of like the difficult, challenging places are where I meet my soul in the fertile ground. And then you can say, what about you? What do you guys think about this? Right? So you can take any piece that has touched your soul, that has changed your perspective. You can absolutely say, I'm doing the social media course and whoa, it's blowing my mind. And if you want to heal it, they're 50% off. You can do that. That's perfect and beautiful. You can do something about Inanna. You can talk about anything, but bring this energy of this container out into your world today after this Zoom, and then pop that into our social media thread in the hub, and let's bring out the best in each other, you guys. This is our one chance at life. Let's live it to the fullest and share everything that we can and everything that we desire to, and lean in and like just get a little bit. And when you share, last piece is be sure to tag at the.frequency.family Instagram, and tag me and tag Fernanda, tag anybody else. But make sure that you visit that Instagram, that you follow that Instagram, and that you tag that Instagram so that we can start to really build a resource there that speaks our language to our world. So thank you, everybody. Love you. I'll see you next Thursday. I'll be in Florida at the corporate headquarters in Orlando, dipping out of a meeting to share this next week's Zoom with you. And I am just, as I said to start out the Zoom, like I just feel this such a powerful energy moving through this community right now and moving through my system. And I'm deeply grateful to be here with you. So thanks, everybody.